Before we begin, thank you very much to John D for joining the Patreon campaign over at patreon.com/TJOmega. As always, the help is very appreciated. Keeps the lights on, keeps the videos coming, and yeah, it means the world to me that people actually want me to keep doing this. So thank you for allowing me to keep doing it. So it's been a while since I tier listed, and I thought, let's go all the way back to the beginning. The very first thing in Transformers I could possibly tier list, the original 84 toy lineup. So we're going to be judging this based on standards of the day. We are not going to be going, obviously this toy is like, the articulation sucks, the paint's crap. We're not going to go with any of that. We're going to be fair. We're going to be fair because these are much older toys. We are going all the way back to 1984 for this list. So, and what was surprising to me, even looking back, is there's far fewer figures in 84 than I thought there were. You know, this was before Shockwave, Reflector, Jetfire, and a lot of those better known grail toys of G1 actually were out yet. So it is just 1984 releases. Nothing that came even early 1985. No. Year one only. So, year one starts with Megatron, which is a pretty good place to start. It's a fantastic toy. I can remember when I first became aware of the internet. The first thing I did was I emailed Hasbro, "Will you ever reissue Megatron?" I got the response of like, "Well, laws and things have changed, but we will try." That's a generic response kind of thing. But Megatron absolutely going in my holy grail section. How could it not? It's G1 Megatron. Lots of different fun options for the gun mode and all the extra parts. The gun was just fun. I have the reissue that has the firing pellets, so it's even better. So, let's see. Next one is a weird one. It's, I want to say Caltor is the name of it. It's a transforming calculator that they released in the Chronoform line. Technically, it's still a Transformer, though. It was done in Transformers packaging. It's basically a calculator with arms that flip out. It's not the most thrilling thing, so that immediately goes into like, we've started off strong here, all the way to the top, all the way to the bottom, right away. Bumblebee and the red variant Bumblebee. I'm actually just noticing I missed Cliffjumper on this one, so let's just assume, for the sake of argument, that this is also Cliffjumper, since we've included a red one. Points off for me for missing one on my list here. All right, so Bumblebee, Cliffjumper, essentially, the same toy, slightly different sculpting, obviously different primary color. There's nothing terribly bad about them, nothing terribly exciting, but for the mini-bots, they do exactly what they are supposed to do. They're cute little efficient transforming toys. Because they are good at their job for their price point, we're going to premium price on those. We might take them down to retail depending on how everything else fits out, but in my head, I'm trying to keep the scale and the expectation for the mini-bots separate from the main figures because it is a very different thing they were going for. So I'm trying to be fair here. Speaking of mini-bots, we have Huffer. There's something endearing about Huffer. It's a very simple little transformation, but it does give a fairly unique shape with the chrome arms and the head tucked away under this big hood that is the cab section. I mean, it definitely creates an interesting look. All the mini-bots are pretty simple in design, but like I said, he's a little bit charming. I'm going to put him to retail for now. We might bump him up. Here's going to be the contested one. Ironhide. Oh, well, I already hit the button. I'm sorry. Here's the contest. Hang on. Oh, that button broke. Where'd my Ironhide example go? It didn't upload the Ironhide. Okay, never mind. Tier Maker is weird. All right, so we were talking about Ironhide right now. I'm a bigger fan of Ironhide than most. Here's how I view this. If you look at it in the context of 1984, you can't hold it against him because of the design. Because originally in Diaclone, he was a mech walker. He wasn't a fully designed robot. What we see is that flat face was a pilot's chair. You know, it really wasn't meant to be one of the worst Transformers. It was meant to basically be the best mask toy ever. The toy itself is fine, you know? If you remove the part where the animators for the cartoon way overdid it, you know, on the like the reimagining, that's not the toy's fault. The toy itself actually offers a different play pattern to anything else in its price point at the time, which I think is actually a pretty significant deal. Because to get a play, like a play set play pattern, like a base mode, you had to go to Optimus, and not everyone could afford Optimus. So I'm actually putting him up. I'm putting him smack dab in the middle. He does obviously have problems, but for his time, I think he actually provided a little bit of a breath of fresh air in the Transformer line. Mirage. Okay, now we actually go back to ones I have example photos of. I don't know why it skipped one. Mirage. I actually really like Mirage's toy. I did a review of that one, and everyone was shocked that mine didn't break, because this one is extremely fragile in the midsection. If we ignore that itself, the toy is actually a really well-rounded Transformer for the day. Proportions are mostly fine for his time and for the style of G1 figures. Yeah, it's a very solid figure. I want to put him up at the premium level because he is quite nice. Also quite nice, we have Sideswipe. Again, this one is actually just a really super clean Transformer, iconic in shape and design. Really nice transformation for its time. Good look in the robot mode. He does get his little, he does get missiles and all that, which were fun. Everyone had missiles back in the day. Oh, I will admit, I got so tired of missile gimmicks because they just like in the 2000s, just like everyone had a firing missile. Now I kind of miss them. Now I kind of miss them. That little bit of action feature. But he's definitely going premium. I think I like Mirage better as a toy, but Sideswipe is a very good one for the day. And now we're on to Wheeljack. I like the vehicle mode. I really like the race car mode. I like the color scheme a lot. Wheeljack does have some pretty bad proportion issues in the robot mode. That's not even like, oh, well, it's not accurate to the animation. It's just, no, he's like a gorilla. You know, he's drastically out of proportion. I mean, that's just his thing. Like, you don't strike him because he's different. He's just odd, you know? It's just weird is all. He's not a bad toy. Like, I actually do like his transformation. He's just, yeah, like, there's just something about his proportions just really put me off a little bit. I'm putting him at retail, but I'm putting him on the low end of that. Okay, Autoscepter. This is one of the transforming watches you had to mail away for during the first year. Yes, I said everything in 84, and we're going to go right down to the mail away figures. So, he's not bad. He's not bad. Considering that he does have it's a rudimentary robot mode, but considering he's also turning into a watch and he's a like fully functioning police car toy, he actually does quite a bit. You know, it's not the best of looks because hey, he's got a watch stuffed into his gut, but he's actually not bad. There's actually something kind of charming about him. I don't think I'd put him above Hover though, but I definitely think he's an amusing figure. It was more amusing if I actually switched to it. There's Ironhide. What happened? How did that get out of order? That's who we're looking at right now. Yeah, so like you see, like robot mode's there, vehicle mode, vehicle mode looks fine. I thought it was a cop car because of the buttons, but I guess it's just a normal car. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine for what it is. Back to minibots. Brawn. So Brawn is another one of those where people get down on it because the animation model is so different from the actual vehicle mode, from the actual toy. For me, the toy has more issues in the fact that he is not accurate to animation. You know, I don't. I'm not a fan of these upturned claw hands that look really weird and T-Rexy. I'm not a fan of how scrawny his legs are. More importantly, his feet aren't really flat. Brawn is really hard to keep standing up. At least considering like how easy most G1 figures are to stay on their feet. So unfortunately, like this is, like I said, it's not about animation accuracy. This is just, nature of the beast. I do think he's a bargain bin level figure. It's just it's unfortunate. Like if his feet were better or his arms were better, yeah, I'd move him higher, but not in this case. This is not Bumblebee again. This is also not Bumble Jumper. Oh, technically it is. This is Bumper, or who had to be retroactively renamed Bumper. Somehow this mold got worked into the run of Bumblebees, so you could buy this off the shelf, open it up, and the head's different. It's much boxier. It's not a Volkswagen Beetle, certainly. It's just an oddball. It's just an oddball that was such a similar mold, and it just like randomly got thrown in. We don't know if it was a factory error. We don't know if it was a running change or a variant. We don't know what it was. It's just another leftover Takara mold that went into Transformers. I think by nature of the beast, since it's basically the same figure, I have to put it in with Bumblebee and Cliffjumper. So, yeah, nothing more to say about that. Moving on, we have the we had Autoscepter, so this is Deceptor. This is the Decepticon watch mail away. The robot mode, again, we have a little bit of gorilla proportion. More easy to forgive on a tiny figure like this. And this squat little kind of cutesy kind of space fighter mode, it's more like Escape Potty. It definitely doesn't pull it off as well as Autoscepter does. Let's put it that way. I don't mind it too much, but yeah, it just like it doesn't really measure up, so I think I'm bargain binning that toy. It's okay, but we've seen that done way better. Okay, nobody at me for this. Nobody start wars in the comments section over this. The next one is Rumble. And yes, it's the original toy. In the toys, the red one was Rumble. So we're calling it Rumble. And Rumble is okay. Action figure-wise, he's pretty simplistic. He does have a little bit of articulation thanks to his engineering. He's not the most interesting of the Soundwave cassettes. I think the animal companions are always a little bit more interesting for Soundwave. There's always something weird about a man who keeps a smaller man in his chest. Rumble's fine. Rumble is fine. I'm gonna slot. Rumble's better than the watches. We're slotting him in right there. Sunstreaker, the original Transformer, the very first one ever designed. The toy itself is okay. It definitely has a little bit of uniqueness to it compared to some of the other bots, since it's using the top of the vehicle mode rather than the hood for the chest. It's not a bad figure. It's you can tell it's from the older era of like Diaclone when it has like firing fists. So it's not bad. It's not bad at all. And yeah, the vehicle mode looks awesome. Like to this day, like that Lamborghini custom job looks awesome. I think I want to put him up in premium right with his brother. Right with his brother. And you know what? I'm actually going to bump him a little bit higher than that because he is just that much cooler looking. Windcharger. He's unfortunately just a little bit plain. I don't, like I said, I'm grading the minibots on a curve because they are going for something completely different from the rest. He's just dull is the unfortunate thing. Not a very colorful guy. The robot mode changes a lot to gray, which is not the most thrilling of looks. The flat face, he's got the most generic face amongst the first year Transformers, even like accounting for Ironhide and Ratchet's sticker faces. It's just a flat mask and a flat visor and no real definition to the helmet. Yeah, he's dull. He's dull, unfortunately. Bluestreak. Oh no! It did that thing again. It did that thing again. You know what? We're gonna go. Let's just go with the example and say Gears is next. Let's just say Gears is next. Gears kind of suffers the same thing. It's a pretty plain face. It's a pretty plain transformation. The colors make him a little bit more standout than Windcharger. He's got a little bit more charm to him too. I think there's a little bit more charm in the tiny little truck figures because they have more bulk to them. You know, he doesn't look quite as generic. He doesn't look still is like the same visor, faceplate, but he's got a little bit of uniqueness to the head style there with the extra bars going through. At least gives you a little bit more to imagine with. Gears, I'm not gonna. I don't think I bargain bin him, but he's not too much better than Windcharger, so we'll do that. All right, who's next according to this? Hound is next. I don't know why it's skipping some of them, but I assume Bluestreak will come up. We'll do Bluestreak then. Hound is okay. Hound is okay. The Jeep mode is nice, mostly because due to how the engineering works, due to having to be an open air Jeep, you can't hide a whole bunch of robot mode junk inside the inside like the passenger area of the vehicle, which does make the engineering more challenging. So the fact that it comes together, I think, is actually a more impressive job. That said, squat little T-Rex arms don't really make for a very heroic looking robot. I'm gonna put him up there in the retail release section, mostly because I like the engineering work on him, and yeah, just the general look of the toy. But we will acknowledge he's a little bit problematic. Not too bad though. Prowl, classic Transformers. Hood becomes the chest, rear becomes the legs, door wings. It's exactly what you think of when you think Autobot. At least, you know, like generic style Autobot, really. Again, like I'm looking at my list again. Like, why did it skip so many pictures? Like, we jumped Jazz and Optimus Prime completely to go to Prowl. Probably because like it's. I think one's doing it alphabetically, and then this put it in whatever order. Whatever, we'll get to them all. Prowl itself is nice. Like, decent enough figure. The transformation's actually pretty involved for the time. I definitely want to put him up somewhere higher. I don't think I like him as much as Sideswipe. The Datsun mold is fine. I just think Sideswipe is a little bit cleaner. I like the overall look better on Sideswipe, so we're going with that. Soundwave. Soundwave is like I don't think there's any like I don't think there's any way to like contend here. Soundwave is absolutely one of the best G1 Transformers. Admittedly, alternate mode is not thrilling. There's not a lot of play value to a toy tape recorder. It's credit because it comes from that Micro Change series of Microman figures that were like 1-to-1 scale. So that is a definite plus. And yeah, it's just the best gimmick ever, isn't it? It's like one of the best gimmicks in Transformers. So he's definitely up there. I think Megatron is a more fun toy, but we're definitely putting Soundwave up in the Holy Grail section. He definitely feels worth that. Starscream. Whew. So we're going to get into some little dicey areas here because we've got 3 Seekers to go through. Which one actually ends up being in which spot? So it's a classic Decepticon. The jet mode is great. Jet modes are always a little bit more fun than cars, at least in my opinion. It comes down to which color schemes are better because we're not judging it based on character. You know, Starscream obviously has a very strong character. We're basing it on the toy itself. I definitely want to say the toys, we have to remember also, this toy is infamous for part forming. It is the most part forming figure in the original Transformer toy line. You can technically transform it without taking off the wings, but it is a lot harder. And even then, you still have to move the guns. You still have to add the hands, which are completely separate parts. You have to add the. You have to find a spot for. You know, you have to take off the landing gear in the front. It's got a lot of little bits to them that come off and go back on. So this mold itself, I can't put too high, despite how classic it is. So, you know what? Right now, I'm putting Starscream, the Seeker mold in general, at the top of the retail section. it's classic, it's iconic. There's stuff that does things a little bit better. So we're gonna put it there for now. We might go back and judge it here in a little bit. Buzzsaw. So now we're getting into the animalistic cassettes. This is, again, it's a very minor difference. Which do you prefer, gold or red? I think both are fine. So, and Laserbeak and Buzzsaw in general are both pretty classic. There's not a whole lot of variation to them. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put Buzzsaw right there, somewhere right in the middle of retail release, and then we're going to go ahead and skip to Laserbeak and put him right there as well. I like the black and red a little bit better than the gold and red in this case. So that's literally the only distinction between them. So that's where I'm placing them for now. So when I hit this little button and someone, and the other bird comes up, we'll just skip over him. Frenzy. Don't. I'm watching you. Frenzy's fine. I actually do prefer the blue and the purple over the black and the red. Black and the red is just like... Black and red is a very easy color scheme. It's very hard to make black and red look bad. We've seen black and red a lot on this list. Cliffjumper, Sideswipe, Ironhide, Windcharger to a degree. And then, in Frenzy is in a Rumble as well. So Frenzy here... yeah, I prefer the purple and the blue. I do think it looks a little bit better. It is still the same toy, so I can't put it any higher. I can't really put it any higher than I put Rumble, but we are going to put it just above him. It's because I do think the color works a little bit better. Ravage. Ravage is, again, iconic Decepticon. Color scheme is a little plain, but hey, it works in this case. Especially because Ravage was did a lot of stealthy mission stuff. And yeah, I think this is probably one of the coolest cassettes. A Jaguar hiding in the form of a cassette with rockets hanging off the hips, because Jaguars aren't fast enough. Definitely puts him a league above. So I'm putting all the cassettes in the same area because they're generally the same kind of figure. Huffer's breaking them up in a weird way because yeah, I think in a weird way that makes sense. So yeah, I can't put him any higher up just because toy-wise, on his own, Ravage is just a toy cassette. What are you really going to do with that other than stick it in Soundwave? So on its own, it doesn't really handle itself as a toy. So I can't put it too high. But it is classic, it's iconic, and it's very cool. Skywarp. Now we're getting into the color scheme debate. The question here is, does a color scheme amplify a figure high enough to bump it a little bit higher up? I do think Skywarp is the best color scheme this mold ever saw. Black and purple is iconic Decepticon color. You throw the silver in there, it all works really, really well. And I think it makes more sense as a Jet's color scheme rather than Starscream's gray and red stripe and blue fins. Like, he kind of looks more like he looks more like a fighter jet. You'd see it like a stunt show, and kind of, whereas like I could assume dark colors work better for a jet, especially if you're doing like night missions. I do think Skywarp is the better, so I'm putting Skywarp at the bottom end of premium. So we bump him up one level compared to retail, just because, yeah, it is a little bit better of a vision. But that goes right into Thundercracker. And now we've talked about this toy how many times now? This will be the third time. There's nothing more to say about the toy. But once again, I actually prefer the Thundercracker color scheme to Starscream's. There's just something a little bit too bright about Starscream's color scheme. We acknowledge that like light gray and red are typically not Decepticon colors. He doesn't look particularly evil at first glance. Not to say it's a bad color scheme. I just prefer the darker ones on this mold. And that's even true of the Coneheads too. Like outside of like Dirge, I'd probably put lower because it's just kind of Thundercracker with new wings. But I would definitely put Thrust over Ramjet, for instance. So that's kind of where I'm going grading wise. Trailbreaker. My boy. Finally got his masterpiece deservance. He is not a bad G1 figure. He does have some really weird like kibble panel hanging off of his arms due to how the transformation works. It's he's fine. He's fine. Definitely like in the retail area. I do think I like him better than Ironhide, but not so much the rest. He gets by on extra points. Like I like his unique weapon placement, like the head piece, for instance. He does have like spots on the back where his missiles can store, so that can give you a cool look. And he's got firing fists. Again, classic. So points. Now we're back to Bluestreak. See? It all comes around. It all comes full circle. So we have Prowl up in the premium price point. Once again, it's the same figure. It's just a matter of color scheme preference. And again, we're talking color scheme preference. I do think I like Bluestreak better than Prowl. The police deco is fine. It's classic. It's iconic. The silver with element, like, so I already talked about like red and black and then silver mixed in. That's a common color scheme that we've seen even in this video. But there's something about making the silver the predominant color with a hit of red that I actually prefer in this case, especially in the case of like a sleek sports car. He definitely comes across as like iconic 80s car look. So we're going to put him there. Jazz. So we're basically talking about a very similar mold here. Jazz itself is fine. Again, it's the traditional transformation style. He kind of mixes Sideswipe's rear section to the back of the legs and Bluestreak and Prowl's front end at the front kind of design. He also has the door wings as well. He gets the missile gimmicks and all that. The vehicle mode definitely looks cooler than Prowl and Bluestreak, I will say that. And the course comes from the fact that he's a race car rather than just a normal street vehicle. He's definitely in the premium price point. It's a matter of where does he go in the premium price point, and I'm trying to decide if he is better or worse than. I'm trying to decide if he's better than or worse than Sunstreaker. Because I definitely like him better. I definitely like Jazz better than Sideswipe. No, I think I like the unique look of Sunstreaker a little bit more, just a little bit. Just a little bit. Optimus Prime. There's no real question here, is there? It has to go in the Holy Grail section. It's the big piece of the entire 84 toy line. It's got the most features. It's got the most stuff to do. The figure itself is just classic, iconic. It's a clean transformation. Hey, it doesn't even look that far off from the animation model. Kinda. But yeah, there's just so much to do. The base becoming the playset, all that. Now, where does it go? Where does it go? Where does it go? Is it the best? I want to say Megatron's the more fun toy, if only because it's 1-to-1 scale, lets you play pretend a lot, which is not something you generally get to do with Transformers. Outside, like playing them like a typical toy car, or truck, or jet, that's fine. But, you can't like pretend it's the real physical object like you can with like Soundwave and Megatron. They're both great toys. They both have a lot of extra stuff and a lot of stuff to do. I think Megatron is just a little bit more fun to goof with than Optimus. Simple as that. But yeah, Optimus has to be top tier. Oh, there's Laserbeak. He ended up here for some reason. But it leaves us at the end with Ratchet. And again, we've already talked about this mold. I've already gone on my whole spiel about why it's not nearly as bad as a lot of people think. And the matter of fact is, it's just like, where does it go? And honestly, it really depends on what you view that base section as. If it's an attack turret, if you want to go by that, then Ironhide is superior because it's more in play with him being like the Autobot security officer. If you feel like it's more of a medical bay style thing, which is the only time it was ever seen in the cartoon, which is when Ratchet used it as a portable medical bay, then it's better for Ratchet. We're also going to take into account that this van is absolutely not an ambulance. Ambulances have to be way bigger than this van is. But I think for what it is, for the look, I think I like it just a little bit better than Ironhide. Just a little bit. I think I prefer it as like a medical bay rather than just another attack platform. Because I feel like that's something I feel like if I'm going to deploy something from my vehicle mode, it'd probably be something like emergency triage or something rather than just another gun on the field. So I believe that's my tier list. See, I'm not seeing anything that really feels off here. Again, I definitely think Mirage is my favorite of the basic cars. Looking through the list, no, I think I'm actually pretty happy with how this is going. I think I'm pretty happy with this. The Seekers, I think, are the only thing that I might think about bumping up a level, and that's only because, you know, they are really, you know, the jet toys are really fun. It's just a matter of how part-for-me they are is what makes me keep them where they are. But yeah, that's going to be my list. Let me know in the comments what you think. What did I get wrong? Because I always get something wrong in these lists. I don't think I missed any toys in this case, but, you know, outside of Cliff Jumper, didn't I? But hey, we can cover him too. But you know what? I think I'm happy with this. So let me know in the comments below if you agree, disagree. It's all interesting conversation. Just don't get into fights over Rumble and Frenzy. That's all I ask here. Guys, I am facing the most powerful enemy any YouTuber can face, the algorithm, and I need your help to defeat him. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment. Every time you do, we attack that algorithm and we drive it back until it can no longer defeat this channel. Thank you very much.